All right, here we go. Number one. This senator wrote the initial Homestead Act was nearly shot by Henry Foote. No, while they were trying to compromise in 1850, this politician successfully expunged Andrew Jackson's censure, and one bill proposed by this person led to the species circular order. This Democrat proposed the Kansas-Nebraska Act was injuring the USS Princeton explosion. For the to name this Missouri senator a Puzzle two. This person launched a campaign to conquer the neighboring Shinano province and won the siege of Kuwabara against the Subar clan. This person feuded against Uesugi Kenshin, whom he faced 5 times at the battles of Kawana Hajima. This person almost annihilated Tokugawa Ieyasu's army following his victory at the Battle of Miko. No, Takahara. For 10 points, name this Japanese. After a 50-year legal battle to gain the rights to this band's music, its frontman released a re-recorded album subtitled John's Version. The writer of an anti-war song by this band claimed David Eisenhower was one of the people referred to by its title and the lyrics, "Some folks are born made to wave the flag, they're red, white, and blue." For 10 points, John Fogerty fronted what band behind Have You Ever Seen the Rain, and a song which became symbolic of the Vietnam. So whatever prompt. Clearance survival? No. That is that's the name of the band. Credence Clearwater Revival. It's a 3-word band, or CCR, etc. Puzzle 4. This general won his first major engagement in the Battle of Dessau Bridge. While he was in Ega, this man was assassinated on the orders of Ferdinand II for planning to defect. Wallenstein is executed. Puzzle 5. While initially meant as temporary king of Mycenae, his figure's rule became permanent after his predecessor, Eurystheus, was killed in battle. The namesake house started with this man's grandfather, Tantalus, who passed a series of curses through his bloodline due to the murder of this man's father, Pelops. This man and his brother, Thyestes, for the murder of his half-brother, Chrysippus, for 10 points. The difficult father of Menelaus. They were both from the house of Atreus. Puzzle 6. A half-horse, half-eagle creature called a hippogriff first appeared in this work, which also features a gigantic sea monster. No, a gigantic sea monster called the Orc. 2 characters in this work, Bradamante and Ruggello, are respectively a female Christian warrior and a Saracen ancestor of this work author's patrons, the Este family of Baraka. The pagan princess Angelica is pursued in this poem by its character who regains his wits from the moon and defeats the Muslim king Agravante on La Medusa. For 10 points, name this Ludovico Ariosto epic poem, which features Charlemagne's paladin Roland. The song Roland? No, this is Orlando Furioso. Puzzle 7. This man who first rose to prominence for directing Drunken Angel made his directorial debut in 1943 with the film Sanshiro Sugata. This director lost prestige following the release of Redbeard, but still created late-career masterpieces like Kagamusha and the King Lear analog Ram. Another work by this director was inspired by In a Grove, a short story by Ryunosuke Akutagawa. For 10 points, name this Japanese director. Kurosawa. Yep. Puzzle 8. Peter Robb described this man's life in a work partially titled M, and a dispute over Fedide Melandroni may have caused this man to kill Bernuccio Tomassoni following a tennis match. Inducted as a knight by Alofto Wignoport, this man created a painting for Ciriaco Mattei in which Cleopas wears a scallop shell, which is titled The Supper at Emmaus. This painter was commissioned by the Knights of Malta to create the beheading of St. John the Baptist. For 10 points, name this Italian Baroque artist of the card sharps. Caravaggio is correct. Puzzle 9. This person served as ambassador to the United Kingdom under both Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. This person defended Jay's treaty with Alexander Hamilton under the pseudonym Camillus. Alongside Philip Schuyler, this person served as New York's first senator, after which this politician lost 2 elections running with Charles Copsworth Pinckney. For 10 points, identify this final Federalist presidential candidate is correct. So 10. While commanding the USS Guerriere, this person captured the Mashuda flagship following victory at the Battle of Cape Gata. This person was killed in a duel with James Barrett due to certain comments regarding the Chesapeake Leonard affair. This officer was regarded. Stephen Decatur. Decatur is correct. Toss 11. Despite signing the first employment contract into law, this president asked to delay its application. This man called for resolving the social rift and defeated socialist Lionel Jospin in the 1995 elections. This politician was given control of domestic issues in an agreement called cohabitation. The leader of no, the leader of the Rally for the Republic for 10 points. Who was this French president until the 2007 session of Nicolas Sarkozy? Chirac is correct. Last quarter, a medal named for this explorer was won by Freya Stark in 1935, and this explorer's belt was acquired by a pool man and given to Amadi Fatuma. This man, who is credited with giving the first report on the legendary mountains of Kham, traveled on a schooner named the Joliba and gave his letters to a Mandingo guide named Isako. For 10 points, named the Scottish explorer to lose. No? Author travels in the interior districts of Africa and died after traversing most of the Niger Delta. Mungo Park is correct. Okay, that's it. And we have a score of 60 for Livingston and 30 for Stevenson. Okay, check. Great. Okay, continue on. Second quarter. Toss up 1. Good luck. This royal house came to power when its founder, John I, won the Battle of Agnabarota. In what of these is correct? Your bonus through the navigator's fascination with Africa, including his interest in this legendary Nestorian Christian king, the Portuguese believe ruled in Ethiopia. Christian John is correct. Tom 2. A popular internet meme spoofing this man is known as Moha, and it rose in popularity following the re-emergence of a 2000 interview where he called Hong Kong's mass media too young and too simple. Same year, this man issued his 3 represents, legitimizing the entry. Legitimizing the entry of business owners and the bourgeoisie into his party, which was aimed towards his goal of a socialist market economy. For 10 points, being this 4th paramount leader of China who succeeded Deng Xiaoping and served until 2002. Like Kojin. No, this is Jiang Zemin. Toss of 3. This man who lost a re-election campaign to Steve Sims in 1980 served as the keynote speaker at the 1960 Democratic National Convention. With Clifford P. Case and John Sherman Cooper, this man authored amendments that curtailed funding for the Vietnam War. Project MK Ultra and COINTELPRO were both revealed as the result of a committee led by this man, which investigated the activities of the FBI and CIA in 1975. For 10 points, named its most recent Democratic senator from Idaho who represented the state between 1957 and 1981. This is Frank Church. Church. Toss of 4. While stating that this man was made director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physical and Electrochemistry, the Journal for All Natural Sciences also incorrectly stated that this man was the nephew of the big-time Jewish profiteer Koppel. With Max Bohr, this man developed a method to find lattice energies. This man won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for creating a process to turn nitrogen and hydrogen gas. Haba is correct. Your bonus is biochemist and Zionist invited Haba to work in mandatory Palestine. This father of industrial fermentation created a process to create acetone during World War I. This is Chaim Weizmann. Toss of 5. At the 1889 Exposition Universelle, a composer performed a piano rhapsody imitating this musical style, which inspired him to write a movement of Islam. Historically, this musical style accompanied royal performances of Wayang theater. Instruments like the sarong and kanon were used for performances of this style during the Yogyakarta Sultanate. Bronze percussion instruments were created for performances involving, for 10 points, what percussion ensembles from Indonesia? It's time. Marius. It's called the gamelan. Yeah. Toss of 6. During a group stage match in this specific event, the eventual runners-up beat the eventual winners by a score of 8-3. This specific event included the highest scoring game in the history of its tournament when Austria defeated host Switzerland 7-5. The Arad or Magical Magyars dominated this event before falling to a divided country in the final match known as Das Wunder von Bern. For 10 points, identified this World Cup in which West Germany defeated Hungary to win their first international trophy. Wrestling? No. 1982. This is the 1954 Cup. Possible 7. According to the Saki, this kingdom was established by King Monjo after he and his mother Sosiono fled south from the kingdom, first led by King Jumon. General Kim Yu-sin defeated this kingdom at the Battle of Hwangsan-go, after which its capital at Sabi was captured. To combat its neighbors, this kingdom established close relations with Kofun-era Japan, leading to its key role in exporting Buddhism. Your bonus. The fourth state of the Korean Peninsula, the Kaeo Confederacy, had burial grounds in this city, the busiest port in South Korea, which separated from South Gyeongsang province in 1963 to become the first directly governed city of South Korea. It's Busan. Possible 80. This work was partially approved by the theological faculty from the University of Cologne with Arnold colleagues. Yes, nice. Your bonus, the 1627 to 1632 witch trials named after a Franconian city were among the largest in Europe, and the victims included Johannes Junius and Dorothea Flott. This is Bamberg, the Bamberg witch trials. Plus of 9. This person rose to power as a child following the death of his father, Ghazi, in a car crash, and his uncle, Abba, served as regent. A 1941 pro-Axis coup brought Rashid Ali al-Gaibani to power as this person's prime minister. Alongside his family, this person was executed in the Al-Wahab Palace massacre following the 14th July revolution. And this person was a cousin of Hussein, the current king of Jordan. This prompt applies with the second. Is correct. Your bonus, another monarch of a predominantly Islamic country overthrown in the late 20th century was this king of Libya. It was overthrown by the three officers it's been led by Gaddafi. Idris is correct. Toss up 10. Last quarter. Quarters are correct. All right, tied at 80. Sequential toss up. Pick up stake. William Hamilton Merritt was captured in this battle, in which Thomas Jessup led a flanking maneuver against forces under Joseph Morris and Gordon Drummond. This battle had ordered to capture British weaponry caused James Miller to reply, "I'll try, sir," which is now the motto of the 5th U.S. Infantry. This battle, which was followed by an American retreat to Fort Erie, wounded both Jacob Brown and Winfield Scott. For 10 points, named as 1814 battle in Upper Canada during the War of 1812. Queen's Defense? No, not that. Times, as we call it, this is what these lanes mean. Okay, so Livingston got toss up 9, so that means that it was most recently in the lead, so that this will be theirs. Okay, and they will get a chance to pick from the Lochner era, the Wars of the Roses, or Armenia. The Lochner era, and Wars of the Roses, or Armenia. So War of the Roses is your category. And you try and clearly direct it. If you're very clearly saying it into the mic, that's fine. Otherwise, you can make me either. It's fine. So the lead-in is concerning the Wars of the Roses. Name the dot. Okay, good luck with the Wars of the Roses. Here we go. Concerning the Wars of the Roses, name the country where the war were fought in cities such as Wakefield and London. Yes. The writer of Macbeth, Henry VI, Part 1. Yes. The cadet branch of the House of Plantagenet that fought the Yorkists. Yes. The first Tudor king whose ascension ended with good. The collective name given to the uncrowned Edward V and his brother who were locked away at the titular location in 1483. Like Tower of Simple, the Princeton Tower. Yes. The last major battle of the war in which Richard III was killed in 1483. Yes. The kingmaker who betrayed the Yorkists after the king married Elizabeth Woodville. Pass. And the bloodiest battle of the conflict which ended the first reign of Henry VI. That is correct. So 7 out of 8 qualified, one fewer to Livingston. And so the one that they missed Wars of the Roses category concerning the Wars of the Roses, named the kingmaker who betrayed the Yorkists after the king married Elizabeth Woodville. Richard Neville. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, there is accepted. Okay, so Livingston, your pick will now be from Armenia for the Lochner era. Lochner era. Okay, so the Lochner era is your category. All of these begin with the set phrase concerning the U.S. Supreme Court during the Lochner era from 1900 to 1937, named the ... Okay, bear that in mind. Again, if you're very clearly saying it into the mic, that's fine. Otherwise, directing at me if there's ambiguity, I'll ask you to clarify. Good luck. Here we go with the Lochner era concerning the U.S. Supreme Court during the Lochner era from 1900 to 1937, named the Western U.S. state sued in 1908 by Kurt Waller, owner of a Portland laundry. Yeah, the type of wage disallowed and advocate. Yep, the set of policies and reforms enacted by Franklin D. Roosevelt to combat the the collective literary inspired name given to Justices Brandeis, Cardozo, and Stone. That's the three justice cases. Yes, the hyphenated name given to the 1937 Judicial Procedures Reform Bill for to add more justices. The practice regulated by the Keating-Owen Act, which was ruled unconstitutional in Howard v. Davenport. Good. The Alabama senator whose appointment as a justice preceded the end of the era and a rise in a more liberal court. And the English philosopher whose social statics was referenced by Oliver Wendell Holmes in his Lochner Descent. Law. No. Okay. So 6 out of the 8 for 60, and we're turning the other 2 over to Stevenson's. Okay, so with the Lochner era as a category concerning the U.S. Supreme Court during the Lochner era from 1900 to 1937, name the Alabama senator whose appointment as a justice preceded the end of the era and a rise in a more liberal court. Black is correct. Black. And the English philosopher whose social statics was referenced by Oliver Wendell Holmes in his Lochner Descent. This is Herbert Spencer. So it is very close. 160 to 150 as we hit final quarter. Take a deep breath. Good luck. Make sure it's your buzzer, all that stuff. And away we go with 12 questions to decide the national championship for 2026 Triple Team. Number 1. Supposedly, this man was knighted by Henry Sidney among the bodies of Gallo-class soldiers. After George Popple, this man's son, was the second in command of Popple Colony. This commander of a vessel called Sparkle planned to take land around the Norumbega River, and he wrote a discourse of a discovery for a new passage to Cataya. No, the cousin of Richard Grenville and half-brother of Walter Raleigh for 10 points. What English explorer claimed Newfoundland for England? Try this is Sir Humphrey Gilbert. 2. After serving as an alternate delegate to the UN Assembly, this politician succeeded Thomas Francis Ford in the House of Representatives. As an actor, this person was given the epithet "Who Must Be Obeyed" in the 1935 film She. This politician faces Sheridan Downey and Manchester Lodge in a Democratic primary, and in the subsequent Senate election, this person's voting record was compared to that of Vito Marcantonio, derisively called "pink right down to her underwear." For 10 points, what politician lost the 1950 Senate election to Richard Nixon? No. Time to recall this is Helen Gahagan Douglas. Toss of 3. One ruler with this name signed the Treaty of Labial, which was rendered moot when he later signed the Treaty of Valois-Bromberg. That ruler of this name passed the Edict of Potsdam to welcome Huguenots to his duchy, and another king of this name French William is Richard 20. Toss 4. During the mid-17th century, one polity's exploration of territory near this river was spearheaded by Vasily Poryakov and Yerofey Kamalov. Between 1858 and 1860, territories east of this river were annexed as part of the Unequal Convention of Peking. That convention reversed Bomber for 20. Plus 5. This thinker emphatically asserted that spirits exist and punished begging adversaries who grasped like hamsters for food while denying divine intervention. This meritocrat deplored fatalism and wasteful post-Shang rituals that coincided with starvation. This philosopher's rival in the Li Ji or Book of Rites appropriated his concept of Da Tong, a great unity in which all work for prosperity. For 10 points, name is Chinese philosopher and chief opponent of Confucius. No. Times is Mozi or Maozi or something like that. Puzzle 6. The location of this county's mooring Air Force base was chosen due to it being the closest location to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. This county was created from the northern parts of Penobscot and Washington counties, and this county contains the northern terminus of I-95. This county names of war that is sometimes known as the Arasu. That is good for 20. Just getting it in for the 20. All right, halfway through the quarter, 200 to 170 with 6 to go. Toss up 7. A short story by this author deals with the aftermath of the February 26th incident, and it's titled Patriotism. One of this author's works was partly based on an incident in which the monk Hayashi Yoken burned the statue of Ashikaga Yoshimitsu in the Kinkajuchi arson incident, and that work features a Buddhist priest named Mizoguchi. For 10 points, named as a Japanese writer who committed suicide following it. Is good for 10. Plus 8 is 20. The march of the family with God for Liberty occurred due to this president's participation at Reforms Rally, and a mobilization to allow for his inauguration was the subject of the legality campaign. This president's life is chronicled by a Silvio Tendler documentary promoted with the line How, When, and Why the President is Overthrown. A presidential campaign involving this man, and Janio Quadros was called Jean Jean. Also serving as the vice president for Juscelino Kubitschek for 10 points. Jungle Goulart. Yes, Goulart is good for 10. Toss of 9. This process was opposed by people known as Fits, and it was declared overfulfilled in an article that warned against dangerous and harmful sentiments. This initiative resulted in the creation of a Volkshochschule, collectivization 30. 3 to play, the lead now. 40 for Stevenson. Toss of 10. This author's character, Rapatio, in the Adulateur, satirized Governor Thomas Hutchinson, subject of this author's play with defeat. Thomas Jefferson ordered his entire cabinet copies of this author's History of the Rise, Progress, and Termination of the American Revolution. A work by this author advocating for a Bill of Rights was originally attributed to Elbridge Gerry due to the use of the pseudonym A Colombian Patriot. For 10 points, named as Woman, a Revolutionary War era playwright from Massachusetts. Is correct. Mercy is 1 for 10. As we go to number 11, penultimate toss-up, the lead is 50. One figure who held this position, Gaius Plautianus, frequently clashed with Julia Domina, leading to his execution by Septimius Severus. Another figure who held this position was influential in the rise to power of Caligula. Head of the Praetorian Guard. Say it again. Head of the Praetorian Guard. Praetorian Prefect. Praetorian Prefect. That is correct for 20. The lead is 30 as we hit the final toss-up of the game. Good luck. During this period, Prussia gained independence from John Casimir's suzerainty through the Treaty of Bromberg. One empire's involvement in conflicts during this period ended with the Treaty of Oliva. 30 points. Test